Thank you, Colonel. Ordinance Committee, Councilman Council Majority Leader Pabloskas.
Thank you, Council President. Before us, we have 12-1602, Ordinance Amendment of Code 10-40-070, the Code of City of Cranston, 2005, entitled Solicitation on Roadways, prohibited. Referred from Ordinance Committee and the recommendation of passage.
Take a motion.
Motion to approve.
A motion to approve.
Second.
I have a second. I have a motion to approve and a second. Under discussion. Councilman Federico.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to make a couple of amendments to this. After careful review and consultation with our legal counsel, I think these following amendments will help, and this will go back to Ordinance Committee. And before I do, I just wanted to make one comment if I may, in personal privilege. I know that there was quite a bit of discussion about spending taxpayer dollars on ACLU crossings, and I just wanted to remind the public that, first of all, we can't do everything the ACLU tells us to do, otherwise it becomes a branch of government. But Ms. Goodman was the plaintiff in the redistricting lawsuit, which went to the courts, and the city won. And we still had to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in defense costs. So I understand, you don't want us to waste money, but sometimes we're forced to do it. This is not about soliciting money so much as doing it in a dangerous place, as the police chief said. And I've witnessed a number of incidents where there have been some dangerous situations, one in which the panhandler was not in the center of the road, but had he been, he would have been crushed by 3 vehicles. And I actually spoke to another constituent who witnessed the same accident, but luckily no one was on that meeting at the time. In that regard, what I'd like to do is on paragraph 83, which is on this would be after the sentence ends where it says from non-moving vehicles. I would like to add to that, and that the following restrictions are authorized pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 31-18-2. Local ordinances and such restrictions are consistent in subject matter and intent with several provisions of state law.
Wait a minute. Do you have something you could hand out, Mike, so we could read that while you're, it's getting kind of complicated.
I can use some copies.
We do have some copies. And these, I'll finish this and then I can kind of go through them as they pass it out if you don't mind. Consistent subject matter and intent with several provisions of state law designed to protect public safety upon roadways, including without limitation 31-18-5, crossing other than at crosswalks, 31-18-10, walking in street prohibited, 31-18-11, walking, jogging, or running on the left, 31-18-12, hitchhiking in a road, and 31-18-17, pedestrians on freeways. And I'll wait till I give you those copies if you'd like. And I think this is somewhat in line with what Officer Davis mentioned in terms of some state laws that actually do exist with regard to people being in a roadway. I don't know if you want me to wait, Mr. President, to
Well, I have a motion on the First Amendment.
I'll second it.
I have a second on the First Amendment. Director Krupp, do you want to explain the First Amendment?
I think it would be...
Or Councilman Federico?
Yeah, I can
explain a little bit.
I can explain it a little bit further. In a very short, we can give you a copy of each of those state laws, but they're very short and to the point. First, it just says that local authorities are empowered by ordinance to require that pedestrians shall strictly comply with the directions of any official traffic control signal and may be by ordinance prohibit pedestrians from crossing any roadway, business district, or in any designated highways except in a crosswalk. And then the 3118.5, which we can get copies of that as well. Another short one, talk about if you're in a crosswalk, you have to yield the right of way to vehicles. 3118.10, walking in the street is prohibited, and if there's a sidewalk available, then you're supposed to use the sidewalk walk. You're not supposed to run or jog in a roadway, especially if there's a sidewalk available. And the section 3118.11 is a little longer. It talks about walking, jogging, or running. And basically, if there is no sidewalk, you have to run facing vehicular traffic for safety concerns. So, and I think the last one is hitchhiking. Hitchhiking is not allowed. And I'm sorry, there is one more. 3118.17 talks about pedestrians cannot cross onto a freeway. Pretty simple.
Under discussion. Chair recognizes Council Stichels.
Mike, could you give us a kind of an overview of what you're trying to do rather than the specific amendment? I mean, I assume that this all ties together and there's a philosophy behind it.
Yes.
Tell us what that is.
Actually, yeah, the second amendment, which would be on line 110 toward the end, actually kind of gives you the overall picture. So why don't I pose that one as well? All right, I'll stay on the first. But it's basically incorporating state law, which deals with pedestrians on highways and roads and highways, and what's already on the books from the state level as far as these kind of activities. Okay, I think the general idea is that this is going to be far less restrictive than the way it was before. And you'll see that in the second part, because it's not going to apply to all roadways. It'll address your concern